Hello and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are here again, and this time I'm going to be presenting, and it's funny. I got like tired of the A's, so I'm going to do a couple of each letter and then I'll move on to the next. But the funniest thing is that the first B that I was doing is actually a C. So I'll tell you, it was like the first B that we had was Bachelor's Buttons, but it's really not Bachelor's Button. So because that's like a folk name or like another name for what I'm going to do. So let me just
Nice.
share. I know, very interesting. We're gonna do cornflower. So that's what
Nice.
Bachelor's Buttons is. It's cornflower. So exciting. It's beautiful and lovely, and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's just get cooking, shall we? Let me put you guys up at the top so I don't continually look at you to my right, which is obnoxious. It is Centaurea cyanus or cyanus is the Latin name, and this is what it looks like.
So pretty.
It is very pretty. That's like an actual picture, and that's what AI thinks it looks like. So not bad AI, not bad. And then we have some cornflower poetry. Cornflower features big in the arts. So I tell you, we're gonna look at some of the stuff too. So here's the first one. There is a flower, a purple flower, sown by the wind, nursed by the shower, o'er which love breathed a powerful spell, the truth of whispering hope to tell. Now, gentle flower, I pray thee tell, if my lover loves me and loves me well. So may the fall of the morning dew keep the sun from fading thy tender blue. And that's like, okay, it's selected by Margaret as a floral oracle from which to learn the truth respecting Faust. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what it said. So that's what I'll go with. And then the next one it is about the cornflower fairy. Mid scarlet of poppies and gold of the corn, in wide spreading fields were the cornflowers born. But now I look round me, and what do I see? That lilies and roses are neighbors to me. There's a beautiful lawn, there are borders and beds, where all kinds of flowers raise delicate heads. For this is a garden, and here a boy blue. I live and am merry the whole summer through. My blue is the blue I always have worn, and still I remember the poppies and corn. So that's flower fairies,
Nice.
the cornflower fairy. So cornflower, the parts used are like everything, the flower, the leaves, the seed, and the stem. And the other names, of course, we're going to start with Bachelor's Button because that was the first B. So this is Bachelor's Button. So
Mm,
rando. I know. And I can't,
that's
let
so
me see if
funny.
I can. I don't like this color that this blue is radiating upon me. So let's see if I can mess with it. That's a little bit better. Okay. Um, the other name for it is basilic, blue bottle, blue bow, blue cap, bluet, boutonniere flower, devil's flower. We've seen devil's flower before.
Hmm.
Garden cornflower, hurtsickle, and we're going to talk about that. Ragged robin, ragged sailor, and red campion. So the plant information, exactly. It's very interesting. Lots of interesting information here. So it's an annual and it's native to Europe. And it once grew wild in cornfields, and that's why it's called cornflower. Okay. And it was a big fat hassle to the farmers. And that's because it was such a hassle, that's why we call it hurtsickle, because this is what Grieve said. Thou bluntest the very reaper's sickle, and so in life and death becomest the farmer's foe. So it blunts their sickle, it blunted their sickles. So and yeah. And so if you cut it down though, like before it goes to seed, that's like it reseeds by like the little dropping of it, but if you cut it before then it does not reseed. And the use of pesticides has kind of gotten rid of it in cornfields and like the use of horrible pesticides. I won't even say
Mhm.
it. It's so horrible. And so it's rapidly disappearing in the wild.
Mm,
and
sad.
interestingly, even though we know it as blue and everybody talks about the blue cornflower and most of the names are about blue, cornflower comes in a lot of different colors. It comes in pink and dark burgundy and white, notably. And it's also edible, okay? But I had wildly varying stories about what it might taste like. So some people say it's like a cucumber flavor, and others say that it tastes like cloves. So I suggest people go out and find it and taste it themselves and see what your taste buds say. It also can be an ink. Okay, so you're supposed to mix with alum water and it's supposed to dye blue linen, but the color is really easily faded. So maybe, I don't know. It's a nectar source for bees because the nectar is very high in sugar. And the blue color, it comes from this thing called protocyanin. And the protocyanin also is what causes the red in roses. So it's really interesting. It's all about the pH level that it's grown in will determine if it grows into, if it creates blue or if it creates red. And roses, though, only grow in a certain pH. So, and apparently, same with cornflower. But we have different cornflower. So we have like red cornflower too. So that it may grow in different pHs. I don't know. But it's from protocyanin. Okay, so the first part of our lore, stories, and cultural importance is Estonia, and it's not a big, huge thing, but it's the national flower of Estonia is cornflower. So in Sweden, it's a symbol of social liberalism in the Swedish National Party. There you go. And in Germany, Queen Louise of Prussia hid her children in a field of cornflowers when she fled Berlin. And she quieted them by using the flowers for wreaths. And so in her army, in honor of that, the Prussian army made their uniforms the color of blue cornflower. So in France, it's a symbol of the 1918 World War armistice, and it's often people will wear cornflowers to honor veterans in France. So Le Petit Albert, who is an 18th century, Le Petit Albert is a 18th century grimoire of natural and Kabbalistic magic, and it specifically notes 15 magical herbs, and cornflower is one of them. In Egypt, we also find it in Egypt. And in Egypt, they believe that cornflower had the power to resurrect the dead. And it was in the funeral wreath found around King Tut when they found King Tut.
Was he lost?
Well, he was buried or entombed.
Yeah, I know. I know. I remember when they desecrated his tomb.
They desecrate when there we go. It was on the funeral wreath of King Tut when they desecrated his tomb. There we go. Well, then didn't they all like die like horrible weird deaths?
Oh, that sounds fun. I hope so.
They did. There was like some prophecy from King Tut, like if anybody desecrated his tomb, that they would die, and then they all did. Like it was weird. Within like a short period of time. Nice. Like the story of that is like pretty wild.
Oh, it's a similar story to when they were working on the Luxor in Vegas, right? Because like you're not supposed to remake like or make any copies of the Egyptian pyramids or something. And so like a bunch of people who were architects working on the Luxor like died.
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah. I did not know that. Interesting. I know.
Egypt, man. They don't mess around.
So in Rome, we have this other story. So the second part of the Latin name, Cyanus, came from a Roman story about a boy named Cyanus who loved cornflower, and he died on a bed of cornflower, and the goddess Flora named the flower after this boy. So interesting story. In Greece, that's where, and I could not get this stupid AI to make a centaur to save my life. This was the best I could do, and it was like a Pegasus. I was like, whatever, just let's go with it. It's got wings. I don't know if centaurs ever had wings, but whatever. We're just gonna ride with that. So the first part of the Latin name, Centaurea, though, it comes from this mythology about Chiron. So Achilles was shot with a poison arrow, and the poison was from like a hydra. And so Chiron used cornflower to heal Achilles from this poisonous wounding. And another idea, if you don't like that previous slide about cyanus, it's also supposedly a Greek word for dark blue, and it possibly, here's another possible origin story, is that it came from Cyan, a nymph who was so distraught when Persephone was either abducted or left with Hades that she turned into this pool that was deep dark blue or purple, like the flower itself. So one way or the other, you're going to get to that Centaurea cyanus, the Latin name. Also in Slavic mythology, there's this is pretty rad. There's this noon demon called Habernitsa, okay? And it's called the Cornflower Wraith or the Cornflower Witch. And so often workers in fields would see this woman who would appear wearing cornflowers in her hair. And she would wander the fields at like high noon. And she was really angered by people trampling the fields and using sharp instruments in the fields. And she would do terrible things, like she would cause broken limbs or headaches or low back pains, even paralysis. So the only way to appease her was to take a break at noon and not work. Lunch hour. So there you go. In Russia, in Russia, it's called basilic, is another like name of cornflower. And there was a boy named Basilic was supposedly lured into a field by a nymph named Rusalka, and he was turned into a cornflower. Another interesting thing. So then we have some Western lore about cornflower. So if you pick a cornflower and it fades fast, your love is not reciprocated. That's the lore. Be careful. But it's also a symbol of the ALS Society as a symbol of hope and healing. I know. And the name Bachelor's Button, it comes from the practice of putting a cornflower in your lapel to indicate that you were a bachelor on the prowl, or alternatively, that you were in love. So who's to tell?
Yeah, you see a guy with a bullet, you're like, he's either up for it or not.
Exactly. Is he a bachelor? Is he in love with somebody already? Who knows? Like, we've got all sorts of mythology wandering around about this little flower. Exactly. So then in art, because we find this, and this is just like a smattering, because there's so much art that like features cornflower. So I just took some interesting people that I found readily easy. So here we go. So first of all, it's cornflower is featured on the ceiling of St. Michael's Church in Bavaria, which I couldn't even find a picture of it. So we're just going to believe it. Okay. But it's also in The Birth of Venus by Botticelli. Mm-hmm. So I think where you find it is on the dress. If you look on the dress of the woman there who's trying to cover Venus up, I think those little flowers there are the blue cornflower. So the next one is Van Gogh, and Van Gogh had a couple of them. So I don't know if I have both of them, but this is called A Vase of Cornflowers and Poppies. But he also had, let's see. Oh, I didn't do it. So he also had A Wheat Field with Cornflowers is another one of Van Gogh's, but he liked cornflowers, apparently. And then Dali had this image called The Vase of Cornflowers. So, but they are everywhere. People love to use cornflowers in art. It's like a very famous flower to be using. Probably because it's such striking colors. I mean, really, they're beautiful. So the correspondences. The element, again, okay, so it went crazy. Like, there were so many people and so many, it was flying around. First, Is it earth? Is it water? And then I saw it with fire. I was like, give me a break. Like, we're just like stretching here. Now we're like just going off in outer space. Okay, so Saturn mostly, but I also saw Venus, and then I saw the sun. Fire and the sun do not seem right, but like I get, then I was like, okay, like I'll just stick it in there in case someone likes fire and sun for it. I don't know, not me. But I saw even a lot of places did list Saturn and Venus together. So the astrological sign, okay, so Capricorn or Cancer, and then Virgo. So again, it's just all over the place with like correspondences with Cornflower. So the chakra, though, pretty much is designated as the third eye chakra. The Sabbat is the autumn equinox, Lunathod, if you are into that rendition of the Sabbats. The crystal is the moonstone. The moon phase is full moon. And the goddesses that I found associated with it are the Fae, Flora, of course. And Chiron is not a goddess, but you know what? I'm a Sagittarius.
He's a centaur. He's fine.
Fuck you. Exactly. I'm a Sagittarius. So Chiron can be in there. Mother goddesses, harvest and nature goddesses, Mary. So that's an interesting. It's associated with Mary. It's supposed to be associated with queens of heaven, Danu, Breed, and then Hibernitza. So the magical properties. Abundance. And it's supposed to take away anger. So it's supposed to be very calming. It's supposed to bring peace to a home, especially. So it's supposed to resolve family conflicts. And then I found this. This is Ironwoad. And you know what? For whatever anybody says about Ironwoad, you know what? There's other people. Like she's got some interesting stuff. So if you take what she says, and it's because I found that calming and peace to a home in other places. And then she had this interesting thing about for peace for your home. You're supposed to use cornflower by itself or along with periwinkle, borage, rosemary, and forget-me-not. You're always supposed to dress it with a certain oil. And I think you can dress it with whatever oil you find appropriate for calming and peace to the home. And then you're supposed to brew it into an infusion, and you're supposed to, listen to this, sprinkle it on all the four corners, starting at the outward boundaries. So the four corners of your property, then outside at the four corners of your house, and then in each room, the four corners of each room, and then the four corners of your kitchen table. It's pretty cool.
What color are borage flowers?
Oh, they're blue.
Are they all blue?
No, because sometimes there's some white ones too.
There's white ones, yeah. They're mostly blue,
but
though.
I mean, like, do all of these plants have blue flowers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Blue, right? Okay.
I don't know. What's forget-me-nots? Are forget-me-nots blue?
Forget-me-nots are blue.
They're blue.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. They're all blue.
Interesting.
So Ironwood also had this other one to place the cornflower in corners of rooms where families fight. And then also under the rug in the center of the room as like a fifth point. It's also tied to earth magic and fae magic. Divination, that third eye chakra, you might suspect, right? Mm-hmm. It's supposed to increase psychic ability, and it's supposed to be a visionary herb. And I probably got that from Bayerel because he loves that. Where else do you call anything a visionary herb but Bayerel? He loves those, like this type of herb. Yeah. So, oh yeah, look here. When I do an actual spell, I try to attribute it. So you're supposed to filter the cornflower through 3 layers of blue linen. Then you're supposed to consecrate it under a full moon with moonstone and use it as an eye bath for clairvoyance. Okay. It's supposed to open, like I said, the third eye chakra. And then I also found for love, sex, and fertility. So you to draw love to you, you're supposed to put the petals in your right shoe for protection. Now we're getting into the depths of things, aren't we?
Mm.
And this is a great one. Okay, this is fabulous. Have you ever heard of a fluid condenser?
Mm-mm.
Have you, Roz?
No.
Okay, so Bayerel, I believe it, I'm almost positive it was Bayerel who suggested that this was a fluid condenser. So what you may ask is a fluid condenser? Well, it's any material, not a liquid material so contains and stores magic or
Hmm.
electromagnetic fluid. Okay? So but reality the biggie, I found this whole article about it. It's supposed to conduct energy between elements. So like between like like fire and water, or like it's supposed to conduct between elements, but it also bridges the world of the mundane to the astral world.
Hmm.
So other like the biggie other fluid condensers, the biggest one is gold, but also copper is a fluid condenser as well. So
Very tied to like alchemy, it seems like.
yes,
Alchemists love
Yeah.
gold and
yes,
copper.
yes. I had to go down the rabbit hole of what was a fluid condenser, and I think I have an article, so I'll point it out when we get there. So more magic. So it invokes the creative mother energy if you want that. It's tied to women's mysteries. And you can use it on the altar or on yourself physically to invoke nature goddesses. And it did say invoke. I know people just get so tied up to this, and I tied up in this, and I really wonder, okay, like in religious situations, an opening prayer is called an invocation. Like when I was in I grew up LDS, and you would when you would ask to lead a prayer, it was the invocation, which was like the opening prayer. Okay, but like you weren't like taking it like becoming like Jesus in your body. Like you weren't like it was more like I guess evocation, right? As people might say, right? But I don't
Mm-hmm.
even remember that being like people like losing their ever loving marbles about being ridden or invocation until a certain someone Voldemort came into our presence. And then it became like a thing, right? Like all this
Yeah.
like shenanigans. So invoke, evoke, whatever. Whatever I found, it said to invoke nature goddesses. So, you know what? I don't suspect that you're like, you know what? I don't know. I
Do
don't,
whatever you want. I don't give a shit.
yeah, exactly. Whatever. Whatever. Exactly.
Invoke it. Who cares?
Yeah, and I really don't
Yeah, no, me
think that
neither.
there's that big of a difference. I'm
I
really
don't either.
not. I'm really like, what the reason why I say that is because I'm a little perturbed by like the insistence upon that
the
when like
separation between those two things and
Yeah.
what one is and what the other is, and yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So whatever. Healing, it's used for healing, of course, because we saw Chiron, right? Healing Achilles. And it's supposed to drive away snakes and evil spirits when burned. So, our medical disclaimer. Once again, if any of you foolishly think that we're doctors or medical professionals in any stretch of that imagination,
Healers, anything.
you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. So, the most I can say is that I have sometimes I have an intuitive idea about what people should take if I meet you and you tell me what's wrong with you. And often it's right. So I do have like some UPG in that direction, but none of this has any bearing on that. So that's the
Is
most,
it
that's the,
UPG or is it knowledge that you
it
have from your
probably
plants?
is. You're right. It's probably because I've
Yeah.
worked in the natural foods industry and the natural health care industry for so long that I can tell you if you're low on oh, that sounds like you may be low on this vitamin. Oh, it sounds like this would really help if you took this or if you did this or have you tried this?
Yeah.
Anyway, so,
Mm.
okay. Although I have to say, not many people are low on vitamins very much, like except for people
Yeah.
like me who have like problems digesting vitamins. So
Yeah.
kind of we get a lot of them in our processed diets are just like packed full of like unnatural vitamins. So anyway, so the medicinal properties though is it's a tonic, a stimulant, an emmenagogue, an astringent, and a mild laxative in case you need to poop. So
Mildly.
mildly, exact. Thank you, Roz. So
Just a little bit.
externally, you can use it because of it's an astringent. So for acne and skin eruptions, conjunctivitis, though, it's a good eye wash. We saw it as an eye, and at the same time, if you're curing yourself of conjunctivitis, you may
Get
as
yourself some
well.
psychic.
Well, exactly. Increase your psychic abilities by doing the whole like Bayerel process of the moonstone thing and then use it for conjunctivitis and you're like hitting two birds with one stone. For wounds, okay. It's good for wounds. Yeah, go ahead, Roz. Anything?
No, I just thought you said wombs. I was all wombs. Oh, wombs.
Wounds, exactly. It can be used as a mouthwash for bleeding gums as well. And you can use powder of the leaves for bruises as well. Of course, no herb would be complete unless it was the York
The
remedies.
Yorkiest of Yorks.
Exactly.
Yes.
And if you don't know what that means, it's ye old rheumatism cure. Everybody gets rheumatism, okay? What it is arthritis. And that's why everybody in the olden days had arthritis and they just were searching for anything to cure their arthritis.
And they used all the herbs for it.
All the
So all of them are
used.
used for it.
Exactly. But hey, pro tip, we're all getting arthritis. Almost everybody is going to get arthritis. So how bad? I think it probably like how bad you get it. Like I find it there's a lot of genetic propensity to that.
There is.
Like I feel like if your parents like one or both and you take after the one that got arthritis really bad, I like would watch out. Like maybe start turmericing it up early. So like again, that's another York remedy. So
we did a whole thing on turmeric and pepper.
Exactly. So it's also a bitter tonic. It's supposed to, as such, it'll stimulate digestion and stimulate your liver, as all bitter tonics do. It improves resistance to infection. And the seeds, they say it's mildly laxative, and even for children. So the seeds are mildly the laxative part. So it's also I suggested before that it like you could crush the powder and use that for bruises, but they even suggest that like it will help broken veins like anywhere you find them, even inside of your body. So there you go. And this is the all my where I got everything, and I'm trying to like figure out which one of this was like the I was going to tell you where to go find that. Fluid condenser, right there, the first one. What is a fluid condenser? So if you're interested in that, you might want to take note of where this is and go find it. Anyway, let's see.
Interesting.
So let me stop the share here. Okay, and we're back. And thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed what you're seeing, then like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.